Save the Children organization has announced that the truce in Yemen will have a positive impact on Yemeni children, and it will give them a respite from the atrocities of war. This report has more details.
After all the suffering that Yemenis went through during the 7 years of the conflict, warring parties agreed to a temporary truce during the holy month of Ramadan. Children are the most affected by this war. They're getting tortured, injured, and killed. And those who are lucky enough to stay alive can't live a decent life or receive a proper education. However, they get recruited by the Houthi militia to join their ranks and fight their battles. Save the Children welcomes a 2-month truce announced yesterday by parties to the conflict in Yemen as a potential respite for children and their families suffering through the country's 7-year conflict. The truce is slated to come into effect immediately at the start of the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. The truce agreement came after significant escalation of violence in recent months, which has killed at least 600 people, including 45 children, in January alone. As Yemen marked its 7th year of conflict last month, a report by Save the Children under the name of No Place is Safe included a survey of 400 children from 8 of Yemen's 21 governorates. It was a stark reminder that children and families are paying the heaviest price of this brutal war. Save the Children's country director for Yemen said, "This truce is welcome news, and we hope it will mean that children in Yemen will receive a much-needed respite from all the violence of the past 7 years." Over the last few months, we have seen a significant increase in fighting, coupled with tightened virtual blockade of main ports and airports, leading to acute economic crisis, which is exacerbating the humanitarian needs of civilians to a great extent. Yemenis are exhausted and are hoping this announcement is a step in the right direction. Many have seen loved ones die before their eyes, and almost their house has been heavily impacted by the conflict. This is the bleak reality for children trying to survive in some of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. However, we must continue to work together to ultimately bring the humanitarian crisis to an end. Save the Children calls on warring parties to respect international humanitarian law and international human rights law, and take all adequate measures to protect civilians and civilian structures in times of conflict. In an open letter to the UK's Home Secretary, the humanitarian sector, including Save the Children, warns of catastrophic consequences for people in Yemen if proposals to proscribe the Houthis go ahead. Yemen's intractable war has killed hundreds of thousands directly or indirectly and displaced millions, triggering the world's worst humanitarian crisis, according to the United Nations. Previous ceasefires have been ineffective. A national truce ahead of peace talks in April 2016 was violated almost immediately, as were other ceasefires that year. A 2018 agreement to cease hostilities around rebel-held Hodeidah port, a lifeline for the Arab world's poorest country, was also largely ignored. However, warring parties seem to welcome the latest initiative, and the fact that it comes with Ramadan gives us a lot of hope.